Hello, tubers and tubettes. My name is David, and I live in Northern California. Yesterday I got all, well, I wasn't working, so I got all down a rabbit hole with YouTube. It started out, I know, watching about prisons in the Philippines, and you know how these guys get, how they're treated in prison. I mean, the operations of the prison, and the one was in Manila, and it was pretty bad. No running water, so when you're a newcomer, you have to take care of the toilet. And it was, I can't remember how many people there were in there. Maybe like 500 people in one area, and you have to bring in all the water because there's no water there. There's no air conditioning. There's one fan in there. There's not even enough beds. I think it was supposed to be big enough for 100 people in this one building, and I think they had 800 people in there. It's just the craziest thing, and these guys have to sleep on the floor right next to each other. I mean, it's almost like they're right next to each other. The one guy that was in there, they were kind of following him around. He was a newcomer. They didn't say what he did for a living, but apparently what happened was he got into a big argument with somebody for something, and he ended up killing him. He wasn't saying that he wasn't guilty, but they had a trial and everything, and I think he was convicted to be in there for 20 years because it was more like it wasn't planned. There was no intention. It was just they got into a fight, and I remember he had a family, a small family, and a wife, and I mean, how are they going to take care of themselves when he's in prison, you know? And you know, they're always talking about the kindness of the Philippines and how gentle the people are, but every one of these guys that were in there, they range from being a thief, you know, to actually killing people. And so, and there were some people that, you know, said, apparently they think that they didn't do anything, so they got swept up in something. Oh man, what a miserable place. I almost think sometimes that before you go somewhere, you ought to see how their prisons are treated, you know, how they treat their prisoners. And because you could inadvertently be put into a prison. A lot of these guys are put into detention centers where when they're overstayed their visa and stuff like that. But it takes a long time just to get a trial date and just to meet with a judge. And it's not you're not convicted by people of your own, like peers. It's not that way at all. That's not the way it is. It's the judge makes the decision. I know Stephen was talking about a guy that he had a girlfriend, lived in Mindanao, and then he decides to break up with his not wife, but girlfriend, I think. I don't think it was his wife. And then he wanted to he ended up dating a much younger person, maybe like a 40-year age gap. So the wife or the girlfriend, she made a false police report, and they came and scooped him up, and he had a chance to pay her, I don't know, like 4 million pesos, which I don't know how much that is in American, but like, let's just say it's like 10,000 or something, or 20,000. It's still worth it to pay it because these, you know, places are corrupt. You know, they're just totally corrupt. But he refused to pay it because he did not want to be labeled as somebody who was had a sexual deviant, you know, thing, supposedly raped her or something like that. But then the other thing that he did was he went out and got another girlfriend who was much younger than his first girlfriend, And he even brought her around. And the first girlfriend saw it and was just, was beside herself. And she had a relative who was a mayor in a town, and that mayor was related to that judge, and it was just a typical thing. So it's just crazy, when you think about how some of this stuff occurs and the corruption of it, that whole system there. Then I watched one on Japan. It's very clean, very orderly. It's almost like a military boot camp, except you're in it. And they do a lot of manipulations, in terms of getting people to confess. Their law has a lot of flexibility in it where they can really lie, basically lie to get these people to confess. Then they're like, oh, well, that guy confessed. They had one guy that had been in there for like 40 years. He's kind of like a celebrity there. But he was put into isolation so long that since he's been out, and he stays with his sister, but he's never talked. He doesn't talk. He can't talk. So it had to do with the psychological, deprivation of being by yourself. You have to sit in a certain kneeling manner or, on a cross-leg manner, for 8 hours in your cell. That's what they do, is they deprive you of work, and then that's what's supposed to make you, to change your behavior. But it's, at least it's clean, and at least you're not going to die, because the facility was super, super clean, which isn't saying much because you still have this psychological stuff going on. But man, you talk about psychological problems in the Philippines just to be put in, with all of these Filipinos and criminals. And there was a place over there for expats. They had a building that was just all expats, and so I guess they do separate them. So maybe that would be good. Maybe have a little bit more room. But where they were at, it was just, can't even imagine, because the humidity there is so terrible and the heat is so terrible. Even though I know these guys are criminals, you feel bad. They shouldn't have to suffer like that, in addition to spending their time away from their family, worrying about what's going on with their family. So, yeah, one of the guys in there who had been there for a while already was for drug possession, and it wasn't anything like, he wasn't selling or anything. It's just zero tolerance on drugs. So he got caught with drugs, and he had a little store, and he was a street vendor, has 3 daughters. He got thrown in there, and he's going to be in there for 20 or 30 years because of this drug possession. Seems excessive, And so a lot of the guys that go over that are expats, or even young guys, are expats, they don't know the law. And I mean, how can you know the law? You can't know everything. And you don't want to get caught over there with any weed or any, there was one guy, I remember he had serious, like arthritis or something. And so he was growing his own marijuana for his own medicinal use because of the pain. And then when he broke up with his girlfriend went and told the police he's got marijuana in there. And when he came in, he's like, yeah, I got marijuana in here. I don't know what it was, cancer. He had just unbelievable pain. And this was the only thing that he felt could do it. Well, you can do that in California. You can grow your pot plants out on the front yard if you want, if it's for personal use. But you can't do it over there in the Philippines. It's bad. So I do like watching these because it gives me a chance to kind of see things through other people's eyes. And I think that's why a lot of people do like it. And you don't have to live it. You can just see it, turn the television off, and go back to your nice little life. So yesterday I went down the whole of the YouTube. I watched it for like maybe 8 or 10 hours, and I just really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's a great escape, and it's better than a made-up show. I just don't, when they're just making it up, and I do like watching Law and Order with my wife, but I mean, oh my God, I can only watch so many of those. So to watch YouTube videos on how different people live and stuff, it's very interesting to me. It doesn't have to be anything major. I watched one guy who was like living in Michigan, I think, and he was a black guy, and he was like an Uber driver, but for food. And he's driving food and medicine and stuff, you know, to different people, dropping it off. They get paid, you know, through the app, so they don't have to collect money, and there's no have to carry a bunch of money, and he can go out and make a certain amount of money, like $100-$200 a day, and then just stop. He just makes $100 a day, and then he just stops, and it's enough for him. And he has a family and stuff too, so it's kind of interesting to watch that, since I'm never going to be an Uber driver. I have no idea how to do any of that, but it's kind of neat to watch other people doing it, and kind of almost feel like you're there. The prison thing, yeah, I don't want to be there, and I could see myself inadvertently getting put into a prison. I don't hope I wouldn't be, but if somebody was being a false witness to me, you know, that would be bad. So I always have like, I remember teachers used to tell me I have like a guilty face. It would be like I'm look like I'm guilty when I'm really not. It's just that I'm just kind of stunned that somebody would say that about me. All right, well, I'm going to get in to my office, my home office, and I got to get this drawing drawn up. And hopefully I can get that drawn up and then run down to the office, get my checks, because there'll be multiple checks this time. And then I've got a 12:30 appointment I have to get ready for. So thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me into your life. And want you guys to all have a great day and have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.